ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौ भक्तवृंद। Everyone together, raise your hands high up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you all for joining for today evening. We are on the sixth session of the episode of Mahabharat, and we are on the third Parva, Vana Parva of Mahabharat, which is said to be the longest section of Mahabharat, which talks about almost 12 plus 1, 13 years of exile of Pandavas in the forest. So last time in our last session, I believe that was yesterday, we saw how Pandavas were sent to the forest. Shakuni and Duryodhan had planned a dice game and they cheated the Pandavas. And according to the terms and conditions of the game, whoever loses the dice game would have to go to the forest. So Pandavas had worked so hard to build Indraprastha. They converted the desert land into the most magnificent city and also had the most magnificent palace in the whole creation. But Duryodhan and his advisors, including Shakuni, Dushasan, Karna, and also his father Dhritarashtra, they were so envious of the happiness of Pandavas that they could not tolerate Pandavas being happy. So Duryodhan planned for it, and finally, through the dice game, they cheated the Pandavas, and Pandavas were sent to the forest. So it seems like Pandavas were cheated, and Duryodhan was successful. Yes, because Duryodhan got Indraprastha, Duryodhan got all the wealth that was earned by hard labor by the Pandavas. But what was the end result? Of course, Pandavas were really upset. They were heartbroken and they went out of Hastinapur with a determination to come back and destroy the Kauravas. But what happened to the Kauravas? Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, Shakuni, they could not even fall asleep because of the anxiety. They were so worried. What will happen when 13 years end? And we saw how yesterday the Dhritarashtra called for Vidura, sought advice, and again again and again he was requesting Vidura, there has to be some solution that sins that we have committed, the mistakes that we have committed, please suggest some yagya or some karma kanda practice so that our sins can be washed off and we can protect ourselves against the anger of the Pandavas. And finally, Narad Muni came to Hastinapur and told Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, all of you are doomed क्योंकि आपने पांडवों के संग बहुत बड़ा अन्याय करा है. And when Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan heard Narad Muni say like this, Narad Muni said, very soon Pandavas will come back and you will have to face destruction. So Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra became really, really worried because Narad Muni, a great sage, his words would not go in vain. He cannot lie, he does not lie. And they began to spend every single day fully Pandava conscious. Particularly Dhritarashtra was Bhima conscious because Dhritarashtra was most worried about Bhima. And that's the reason they had sent their spies behind Pandavas, and Dhritarashtra was keeping a very close watch on what Bhima is doing. So we saw yesterday how Bhima, when they had entered Kamaka mountain, Bhima was faced by a very ferocious demon. Anyone remembers the name of the demon that we discussed yesterday? I have enabled the chat. Bhima slain one demon yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, but in our discussion yesterday. So who was it? What was the name of the demon? Yes, good. I'm happy to have good kids, intelligent. Kirmira. Kirmira, who was Kirmira? Kirmira's brother was killed by Bhima. Who was that demon? Bakasur, yes, and he was also the friend of Hidamba. So Kirmira was very upset and angry, and he wanted to kill Bhima, and there was a big fight. And when Dhritarashtra was informed how Bhima killed Kirmira, Dhritarashtra really became very afraid and very grief-stricken. He said, "Oh no, Bhima, he's so powerful, he killed this ferocious demon. He would definitely fulfill his vow to kill all my 100 sons." And Dhritarashtra was crying like this. And we saw how Pandavas continued their journey in the forest. And we saw yesterday how Pandavas got Akshapatra, on the suggestion of Bhaume Rishi. Yudhishthira Maharaj had worshipped Surya Devta, and Surya Devta blessed them with Akshapatra. That sun god said, "I will provide for your food for the whole time till you're in the forest." Like that we saw, and then we saw how Krishna, Satyaki, Drishtadyumna all came to meet Pandavas in the forest, and they consoled Pandavas and Draupadi. And then after that, when Krishna went away, they all went away. Then Vyasadev came to meet Pandavas, and Vyasadev told Yudhishthira Maharaj that all of you should not spend this time in just hearing, discourses on dharma. You should all work hard, prepare yourself, because after 13 years, there will be an inevitable war. Inevitable मतलब निश्चित रूप से ही युद्ध होगा, और तुम्हारे सामने बहुत बड़े बड़े महान योद्धा हैं. तुम्हारे सामने भीष्म पितामह, द्रोणाचार्य, अश्वत्थामा, कर्णा, कृपाचार्य जैसे योद्धा हैं जिनको अगर देखा जाए तो कोई हरा ही नहीं सकता. और जब युधिष्ठिर महाराज ने उन सब के बारे में सुना तो युधिष्ठिर महाराज बड़े निराश हो गए. He became very depressed. Pandavas became very depressed. How would we ever defeat such great warriors? If not anyone, Bhishma, he was given a blessing that nobody can defeat him and he cannot be killed in a war. So how do you fight with an enemy who cannot be killed and who's invincible? Then Vyasa said, you should send Arjuna to heaven to fetch the weapons. And that's where we concluded yesterday. And now we'll begin our today's discussion where Arjuna goes to heaven. And it's a very adventurous journey. Incredible details about the trip to heaven is mentioned. And we'll try to share some of those tips, some of those details today. So Vyasadev told Yudhishthira Maharaj that I have a special mantra, a secret mantra, which Yudhishthira Maharaj I will teach to you. And the glory of this mantra is, whoever chants this mantra, he can travel at the speed of mind. Right now you're walking at your regular speed, but once you chant this mantra, you can literally run at the speed of mind. You can traverse miles, hundreds and thousands of miles in a short span of time. So Vyasa said, I'm giving you this mantra, Yudhishthira Maharaj, and you should teach this mantra to the best of the Pandavas, and that is Arjuna. Why Arjuna? Vyasa said, because Arjuna has performed a lot of tapasya and he has that prowess because of tapasya that he could hold this mantra and chant this mantra and fulfill the purpose for which I am giving this mantra. First thing. And second thing, Vyasadev for the first time told Yudhishthira Maharaj who Arjuna was, or who Arjuna is. And Vyasadev told Yudhishthira Maharaj, hey Yudhishthira Maharaj, Arjuna, just don't see him as your brother. He is an eternal companion of Narayan. In his previous life, he has appeared as Nar, along with Narayan. And that same Narayan is Krishna. And that Nar, in the previous life, had appeared as Arjuna. So he is an eternal associate of the Lord. So he is qualified in the same body to travel to the heaven. So you please give him the mantra. So Yudhishthira Maharaj initially did not give the mantra because he was worried that how would they live without the association of Arjuna. But after a few days, Yudhishthira Maharaj gave that mantra to Arjuna and told Arjuna, Arjuna, please get ready. You have to perform a great task, all of us. Go to the heavens, go to Indralok, go and meet Lord Shiva and fetch, ask them for their divine weapons and bring it back. And Arjuna prepared himself. He took his Gandiva bow, he took his quivers, he put the armless, he put his armor, and he got ready to leave. And by taking blessings of everyone there, he set out in search of divine weapons. And now Arjuna, by the chanting of the weapon, chanting of the mantra, he's not walking, he's running, running. And suddenly he reaches the top of a beautiful mountain. And the name of that mountain was Mandar Mountain, a very, very beautiful place. When he reached that mountain, he looked around. It was so beautiful. It was filled with trees, and every tree was glowing with all special kind of flowers. There were so many fruit-laden trees. There were birds, there were creepers, there were peacocks. It was a beautiful sight. So Arjuna thought, let me spend my night today here. It's such a beautiful place. And tomorrow I'll continue my journey, upwards in the north, where it is said the heaven lies. So Arjuna started to climb the mountain, and as soon as he reached the top, suddenly he heard a sound from behind. Upon reaching the summit, and when Arjuna thought he will rest there, suddenly he heard the sound from behind. Stop! And Arjuna was shocked. Who is here? I thought I'm alone on this mountain. And he looked around, looked back, and Arjuna saw one very effulgent Brahmana. This Brahmana was looking directly at Arjuna, and he said, "O warrior, what are you doing on this mountain? This mountain is the abode of sages and liberated people. What are you doing with your weapons here? Nobody comes here to battle. This is not the place to fight with anyone. This is a place of happiness. This is a place of peace. There is no usage of weapon here. Give up your weapon and enjoy the beautiful place, this mountain and all the bliss on this place." So Arjuna said, no, sorry, my dear monk. Kindly excuse me, but I am wearing this armor and the weapons because I have come out on a mission. My family is struggling. A great injustice has been done to my family by the Kauravas, and I have come here to collect the divine weapons of the gods. I have come here to meet the gods. I cannot stay here and rest until I have fulfilled my vision. At that point of time, that monk congratulated Arjuna. He said, "Hey Arjuna, I am no other than Indra himself." And that monk was no other than Indra, who had come into the disguise of a monk. And then when Arjuna saw that was Indra, Arjuna offered his respects and he said, "My dear father, my dear Indra, I had been searching for you. Please bless me the knowledge by which I can learn how to use divine weapons." And Indra said, "Oh, divine weapons? Oh, Dhananjaya." Dhananjaya means conqueror of wealth. Oh, Dhananjaya. Arjuna got this name when he went out during the Rajasuya Yajna that Yudhishthira had performed. Yudhishthira has sent Arjuna, Bhima, Nakul, Sahadeva in 4 directions. So Arjuna went out and got a lot of wealth. Since then, Arjuna got a name of Dhananjaya. So Indra said, "Oh, Dhananjaya, I can grant you life amongst the celestial with eternal bliss, which means I can take you to heaven and you can live in heaven forever. Why are you asking for my weapons? Why you need weapons?" And then, Arjuna explained, "My dear Indra, I need weapons because a great injustice has been done, and to rid my family of the injustice which has been done to them, and to bring justice to Yudhishthira Maharaj, to Draupadi, and to everyone, I seek your divine weapons so we can take our rights back which have been taken away." And when Indra heard this, Indra became very pleased. And Indra said, "My child, I am very pleased with you. But you must first please Lord Shiva, the wielder of trident. Please him and obtain from him the Pashupati Astra. After you have achieved it, then you should come to heaven. And then I shall bestow upon you all the celestial weapons as well as the knowledge to use it." So Indra said, "Stay back at this mountain, Arjuna, perform tapasya to please Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is pleased, request him for the Pashupati Astra. And when you get that weapon, then I will send you my chariot, and you ride on the chariot and come to the heaven." Arjuna said, "Okay, Indra, I will do so." And Arjuna sat down on that mountain, Mandara, and started to perform tapasya. And there's a beautiful description about Arjuna's tapasya, which is mentioned in Mahabharata. He had to perform tapasya for a good amount of time, for several months, and very austere tapasya he performed. And finally, Lord Shiva was pleased by Arjuna's tapasya, and Lord Shiva came down from Kailash, which is an eternal abode of Lord Shiva, to meet Arjuna, who was sitting on the top of Mandara mountain. So Lord Shiva came along with Parvati and his followers to see Arjuna. As soon as Lord Shiva came there, he saw Arjuna sitting in the pose of meditation, and suddenly Shiva saw one demon. He came to attack Arjuna, and this demon took the form of a boar, and he began to make a screeching sound, and this boar, other words, the demon, wanted to attack Arjuna and kill Arjuna. As soon as Lord Shiva saw that, he took the form of a hunter, kirat, जिसको कहते हैं संस्कृत में. He took a form of a hunter and he aimed his arrow at this boar. At that point of time, Arjuna also opened his eyes when he saw that there was an animal making a sound, and when he saw this animal is charging him. So Arjuna also picked up his Gandiva bow and pointed his arrow towards the boar. Arjuna shot an arrow, and Shiva, in the disguise of a hunter, also shot an arrow. And both the arrows came and at the same time hit the boar. And on the spot, boar died. And Hunter, who was in the, Lord Shiva, who was in the disguise of Hunter, began to laugh out loud. Who are you? How dare you to hit an animal who I aimed first? I am the hunter of this jungle. Who are you here sitting and shooting an animal on whom I set my eyes first? This animal belongs to me. Now Arjuna was a Kshatriya, so he could not tolerate this. And Arjuna said, who are you? Who told you that this, you have killed him? I killed this animal. It was my arrow. And the hunter said, how dare you challenge me? If you think you're powerful than me, let's have a fight. And Arjuna, being a Kshatriya, he got up from his place. And Arjuna said, oh, really? You challenge me for a fight? Let's fight. So Arjuna is shooting his arrows. And that hunter, Arjuna is shooting his arrows. But each time Arjuna will shoot an arrow at this hunter, the arrow would hit the body of the hunter and the arrow would turn into a flower petals. So Arjuna was shooting hundreds and thousands of arrows, but those arrows were hitting the hunter's body, but not as an arrow. As soon as they would reach near the body of the hunter, they will turn into a flower petals. In other words, Arjuna was doing flower abhishek of the hunter. And Arjuna was perplexed. What is happening? He was confused. All his arrows got exhausted. Then Arjuna took his Gandiva bow and he attacked the hunter. Nothing happened to the hunter. And then they got into a fist fight. Nothing happened still. Arjuna got exhausted and then he thought there is no other option, but I should offer prayers. At that point of time, the hunter revealed his identity. And hunter said, hey Arjuna, I am not Kirat. I am your worshipable Lord, Lord Shiva. And I am so pleased with your valor and courage. Although you could not defeat me, but I also could not defeat you. You are a very, very valorous and courageous warrior. I'm very pleased by you. Please tell me, what do you want from me? What blessing do you need from me? And that's the time Arjuna said, my dear Lord Shiva, please give me your Pashupati Astra that I need to defend my rights and the rights of my brothers and also the dignity of Draupadi. I want to use this weapon to fight against the Kauravas so that we can regain our right. And Lord Shiva that time gave the weapon to Arjuna and also other blessings like that. However, Lord Shiva warned. Lord Shiva told, hey Arjuna, O Pandava, I am giving you my dearest weapon, the Pashupat. I give you the knowledge on how to hold it, wield it and retrieve it. Let alone humans, even the gods like Indra, Yama, Kuber, Varun, Pavan, etc. have no knowledge about this weapon. But I wish you to exercise caution, but be very careful of how you use it. Do not use this weapon on impulse. In other words, do not use this weapon on anyone. If this weapon is used on somebody who is weak, who is not powerful enough, then this weapon can destroy the whole entire universe. In other words, use this weapon only in a very rare of the situation. Arjuna said, "Yes, my dear Lord, I will remember your words." And like that, Lord Shiva disappeared. As soon as Lord Shiva disappeared, tens and hundreds and thousands of other devtas appeared. Indra appeared, Vayu appeared, Varuna appeared, Surya appeared, Chandra appeared. All the devtas and Devi appeared, and they began to offer blessings to Arjuna. Because Arjuna had pleased Lord Shiva, so all the devtas were very happy. And all the devtas from Yamaraj to Indra to Varuna to Vayu, Surya or Chandrama, they all offered best of their weapons to Arjuna. After receiving all the weapons from everyone, then Indra told Arjuna, Arjuna, stay back here for some more time. I will be sending you my chariot and charioteer. Climb up the chariot and come to the heavenly planet, come to the Indraloka. I will give you the whole knowledge about how to use the celestial weapons. Arjuna was extremely overwhelmed with gratitude, and he offered his respects to all the devtas, and all the devtas disappeared. And Arjuna continued to wait on that mountain for the chariot of Indra to appear. And soon after that, one day when Arjuna was sitting there, he saw a very beautiful and divine chariot descending from the sky. It was an incredible chariot that Arjuna had never seen, and that chariot was driven by Matali, the charioteer of Indra. Matali, how we pronounce it. And Arjuna was overstruck, dumbstruck by the incredible chariot made up of pure gold and so forth. So Arjuna climbed up the chariot, and Matali began to drive the chariot, and they began to ascend in heaven. And now the beautiful journey of Arjuna's going to Indraloka begins, where Arjuna is traveling through the heavens. So this is one of the initial interplanetary travel, where somebody, a mortal being from here, went on to other planets. Our scientists in today's time, they're trying to send their spaceships and whatnot, but they have not found anything meaningful outside. But see what Arjuna finds when he goes into the heaven. When Arjuna was flying up in the heaven to go to Indralok, Arjuna saw many, many beautiful, self-effulgent and glittering chariots. Arjuna was confused. Arjuna looked towards Matali and asked, hey, what is this? Who are these chariots? They're so extraordinary. They're self-glittering. Who are these chariots? Why are they parked in the space here? And then Matali said, these chariots are glowing because of the piety of the rider. The person to whom this chariot belongs, they're highly effulgent personalities, and they're given this chariot and these places in the sky by the supreme Devata. On the order of Brahma, they all have been given these places. Arjuna said, so who are they? So Matali said, you see them even from earth. They're visible to your eyes also from the earth. Arjuna said, really? But I never saw these personalities from earth. I'm seeing them for the first time. Not only that he saw the chariots, he saw the royal sages, Gandharvas, Rishis and Apsaras, everyone he saw. And then Matali said, you don't see them in the form of chariots when you see them from planet Earth. What you see them from planet Earth is these, and this is what Matali said. He said, O son of Kunti, only virtuous persons, they have been sanctioned a place in the heaven due to their moral deeds, and you see them from earth as stars. So today evening, after the session gets over, you go and look up in the sky, and when you see the stars, remember this conversation between Arjuna and the charioteer of Indra. The charioteer of Indra is saying, Arjuna, these are not the stars, but these are actually the chariots of the divine personalities who are given place in the space for them to live. Like this, Arjuna was amazed seeing a beautiful sight of so many great personalities in the sky, who we loosely call as stars. And finally, after having darshan of all of them, Arjuna reached Amravati. Not the Amravati in Maharashtra, Amravati, the capital of Indra. What an incredible sight! Arjuna was amazed. He was looking at that astonishing city with his eyes wide open. He saw the trees filled with flowers which were blooming completely of all season and were fragrant. And because of that, the fragrant cool breezes were blowing around everywhere. And when Arjuna entered inside, he saw countless mansions and palaces spread around acres, a huge land. And it was an incredible sight. And Arjuna was so amazed to look at the divine personalities on Indraloka. And then Matali said, Hey Arjuna, nobody can come to Indraloka. If anyone have broken or performed any of the four sins. Do you kids remember? Krishna had spoken about four sins yesterday when we were discussing to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Krishna said, Yudhishthira, because you engaged yourself in a gambling, which is one of the sins, that's the reason you lost your auspiciousness. So Matali said, if those who engage in any of the four sins, they can never ever come to this Indraloka. So what are the four sins that Krishna spoke about? I've enabled the chat for all of you to write in your answer. Krishna said we should always keep ourselves from these four sinful activities. And what are those four sinful activities? Gambling, meat eating, illicit relationship, yes, lust, and intoxication. Yes, thank you. Good, good, good. Not drinking, Gargi. Drinking means water also. Intoxication, not drinking. Okay. Yes, thank you, thank you. So Matali said, Arjuna, if anyone has ever drank intoxication, have done intoxication, gambling, meat eating, and illicit affairs, then such a person can never ever come to this place. This is a place of piety. And like this, Matali brought Arjuna to the gates of the palace of Indra. And finally, Arjuna entered the palace of Indra, which was an incredible sight. Arjuna was amazed. And when Arjuna entered, everyone in that assembly got up to welcome Arjuna. And Indra had arranged a special seat for Arjuna to sit right next to him because Arjuna was son of Indra, and Arjuna was given such a grand welcome and grand respect. And like that, Arjuna began to live in the palace of Indra or Indraloka with all comforts, no fatigueness, no anxiety, and no stress. Yet, Arjuna did not forget his mission. Arjuna did not forget the purpose for why he has come to Indraloka. Every day Arjuna remembered how his brothers, how his wife Draupadi, how his mother Kunti, and the other queens of Arjuna are struggling, are going through so much troubles and anxieties in life. The other four Pandavas and the Draupadi are wandering alone in the forest, in the wilderness. And Arjuna could not be peaceful even for a single day while he was living in Indraloka. At that point of time, Indra called for Arjuna and he told Arjuna, as you are learning about the whole science, the knowledge of how to use celestial weapons, I also want you to learn about music. Arjuna was confused. Music? Why should I learn music? Indra said, please, this is Chitrasen, the best of the Gandharvas. He will teach you about music and dance. It's a very important skill, and the music and dance that you will learn here, no man from earthly planet have ever learned or known of this science. Please learn it. So Arjuna did not say anything because he knew Indra has a foresight. He can look into the future. Arjuna, putting faith in Indra, decided to learn the art of music and also of the dance. Like that, he was spending his time trying to learn the new skills so that he can come back and help the other brothers to take revenge or, to take the rightful kingdom back from the Kauravas. Like this, Arjuna spent almost around 5 years. How many years? 5 years on Indraloka, going through all the education and all the essential things to get prepared to come and fight with the Kauravas. Just when his duration of stay in Indraloka was about to get over, one day there was a little tussle between Arjuna and Urvashi. Urvashi is the Apsara, very famous Apsara. And because of that argument and tussle, Urvashi cursed Arjuna. Urvashi said, Arjuna, you have insulted me. And what had happened? without going into too much details, Arjuna had called Urvashi mother. And Urvashi said, Mother? Do I look like to your mother? You have insulted me. How dare you call me as a mother? And because of that, Urvashi got so angry. She cursed Arjuna, because you have insulted me, I curse you to become a eunuch. I hope you know eunuch, a mixed gender, neither a male nor a female. You got it? That's what eunuch in English. I don't know what else to tell you about eunuch. So neither a male nor a female, a mixed gender is called eunuch. I curse you to become a eunuch henceforward. And Arjuna was perplexed. What wrong did I do? So Arjuna went running to Indra. He said, my dear father, Urvashi has cursed me to become eunuch. And then Indra said, don't worry. Actually, Urvashi's curse will become a blessing for you. I cannot completely negate the curse of Urvashi, but I can restrict the curse of Urvashi. And you can use that curse as a blessing in your 13th year of exile. All of you don't know, right? They were given 12 years of exile in the forest, and 1 year Pandavas had to go in incognito. Incognito means कि Pandavas का उस समय कहीं पता नहीं चलना चाहिए. They should hide themselves entirely. And if Kauravas get to know where Pandavas are, then they have to again go for 12-year vanvas. So Indra said, when you have to spend that time in incognito, that time you can use this curse. So I give you the blessing that this curse would last only for a year, and you have the right to decide when the curse to start. So don't worry, be comfortable, and when the 13th year starts, you can have this curse upon you, and you will become a eunuch, neither male nor female, and then Kauravas will not be able to find about you. Thus, this curse can be a blessing. Arjuna was pleased to hear that, and he continued on with his training and learning that he was having. In the meantime, there was a great sage by the name of Lomasa, sage Lomasa, who had come to meet Indra in the heavenly planets. And Indra requested Lomasa to please go and meet the Pandavas, the brothers of Arjuna, and go and tell him about the well-being of Arjuna, because they would be worried, and also bring them to, what a Gandhamohan mountain or some mountain, bring them up to the place called Badrinath. That is where Arjuna will come and meet them. So like that, Lomasa came back to Arthi planet. He went to the place where Pandava brothers, Yudhishthir and the 4 brothers were there, along with Draupadi and Draumya, Rishi and others. And they said, Indra have sent me to meet all of you. Arjuna is doing well. Arjuna is happy. Arjuna is learning. He's acquiring new skills and the weapons. He will soon come to meet all of you at the Gandhamadan mountain. And Indra have requested me to bring you all there. So like this, all the Pandavas, the Rishis and Draupadi began to walk behind Lomasa, the sage Lomasa, and they reached the beautiful mountain range of Himalayas. At that point of time, sage Lomasa said, now we have reached a point beyond which no human beings can travel further. Beyond this is a land of celestial beings. Beyond this, Kimpurushas, Yakshas, Kinras, Nagas, Rakshasas, and other celestial beings reside. And they are very, very powerful. And if they find any humans entering into that area, they will immediately kill. And plus, the terrain ahead is very risky. So I will request all the sages to stay behind, because Indra had only given permission for the Pandava brothers and the Draupadi. I will take them ahead with me, and all the sages should stay here and wait for all the Pandavas to return back. The sages decided, and all the rishis decided to stay back, and sage Lomasa continued the journey towards climbing up the Himalayas along with Pandava brothers and the Draupadi. They continued, and then they reached a point where they came across Alaknanda river, a very, very beautiful, this is nothing but Mother Ganges. Her another name is Alaknanda. She descends directly from the heaven. And when Pandava brothers and Draupadi reached there, as soon as they reached by the bank of Alaknanda river, all their tiredness and fatigueness was over. And the area surrounding Alaknanda river was so beautiful, so majestic. All the Pandava brothers and Draupadi thought, or they felt, as if they have reached a heavenly planet. They did not feel any amount of tiredness no fatigue. They were full of energy, full of strength. Such was a beautiful, energizing environment on that mountain. And Lomasa said, well, we have to still continue ahead, but ahead there will be a lot of difficulties. To please hold on to each other's hands tightly. Do not leave anyone alone. And they continued. Now, Lomasa was not an ordinary sage. Lomasa was a very, very powerful sage, so powerful that no demon, no Rakshasa could attack Lomasa. So, under the security of Lomasa, like that, Pandavas were able to cross through all the places. And when they were walking ahead, suddenly there was a severe snowstorm. There was a heavy gush of wind. Everything was going here and there. Whatever trees were there, they were getting uprooted. There was a very heavy thunderstorm accompanied by a snowstorm. And because of this, Pandavas got so tired. When the snowstorm subsided, when they began their journey to walk, Draupadi could not walk further. She became so weak that she fell on the ground and fainted. Before she can fall on the ground, Nakul caught her in his hands, and she at least she didn't fell on the ground like that. And all of them stopped and they began to think what to do. We have to climb upwards, as you see here in the photo. It's too high. We have to still continue walking. How would we continue if Draupadi is so weak? And that is the time Bhima reminded Yudhishthira Maharaj of his son. Does anyone know what was the name of Bhima's son that he had through Hidambi? Bhima had a son that he procreated through Hidambi. Anyone remembers the name? A little difficult. Yes, Ghatotkach. Right. Bhima said, Yudhishthira Maharaj, you remember I have a son, Ghatotkach. He is the best of the demons, very powerful. He is a mystic being. He can fly in the sky. He is very powerful. And he had promised me, anywhere, anytime, if I just think about him, he will appear. He can fly in the sky and he can carry all of us very easily through this mountain range, and we don't even have to walk. And Draupadi can also survive then. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was very worried looking at the condition of Draupadi, a queen and the princess. She had to suffer so much because of Yudhishthira Maharaj's mistakes. So Yudhishthira said, yes, please call for Ghatotkach. Bhima sat down in silence and remembered Ghatotkach. Immediately, Ghatotkach came flying from wherever he was, and he reached by the side of Bhima. He said, my dear father, your son is here. What can I do for you? And then Bhima said, and he explained the problem at hand. He said, we are stuck here because of such a severe storm. Draupadi, your mother is not feeling well. I want you to carry all of us and fly across this mountain range and take us to the Gandhamadhan mountain and drop us there. And Ghatotkach was extremely happy. Thank you, father, for engaging me in your service. And Ghatotkach lifted Draupadi on her shoulder and all the other brothers and the sage on different limbs of his body, and he flew in the sky, and they, in a very short span of time, reached a place what we today know it as Badrinath. Long ago, Badrinath, the Badrinath, the place got its name because of a tree, Badri tree. And underneath this Badri tree, in Satya Yuga, Nar Narayan Rishi had performed tapasya. So the tree as it is was there until Dwapar Yuga. So when all the Pandava brothers came to that spot where the beautiful, huge Badri tree was there, they got down from Ghatotkach's body, they came there, they offered their respects. And it is described in Mahabharata, as soon as they reached under the shelter of that Badri tree, Draupadi regained her strength. She forgot about her anxieties, her suffering. The Pandavas forgot about everything. Such a beautiful place and such a Sachadi place was there. And then Bhima said, Ghatotkach, now you can leave back. We'll stay here because this is the place where Arjuna is going to descend from the heaven to come and meet us, and we'll wait here. And like that, Pandavas continued to stay there at Badrika Ashram or Badrinath, and they were waiting for Arjuna to come. And then like one day, when they all were just living their life regularly, one day Draupadi while sitting in her hut, and all the brothers had gone to the forest to fetch some food and water, she saw an incredible sight. She saw a huge 1,000 petaled lotus coming flowing in the Alaknanda river. And when Draupadi saw that, she called out for Bhima, Bhima, do you see that beautiful flower, a beautiful lotus? Can you please bring this lotus for me? I want to give it to Yudhishthira Maharaj. I have not given him anything until now. I want to give him a gift. And Bhima was so happy that Draupadi had asked Bhima to do something and he could serve Draupadi. And Bhima began to run upstream from where that flower was coming. He was running up the mountain. He was running in the speed of a wind. He was uprooting the trees and slapping the tigers and the bears coming on the way. And like that, he went. And suddenly he reached a place of Yakshas, whose king is Kuber. However, before he reached to the kingdom of Kuber, where Yakshas are the residents, on the way, Bhima came across a very old monkey. And then there was a beautiful interaction between an old monkey and Bhima. And that story and the rest of the story is what happened in the forest with Pandavas, and when and how Arjuna comes back from heaven and meet Pandavas, how Pandava brothers and Draupadi were kidnapped by a demon, and how Yudhishthira Maharaj saves them. All those beautiful stories will continue when we meet again next time. So with that, I pause here with what all we have discussed today, and we'll continue our discussion on the story of Mahabharata, particularly the Vana Parva, where we'll see how Bhimji meets Hanuman, and then he requests Hanuman to show his original form. Then we'll also see how all the Pandava brothers were killed, and then Yaksha had asked the puzzles to Yudhishthira Maharaj to answer. And there are many, many beautiful things we see. We see how Duryodhan and party had come to insult Pandavas, and they came to a place where Yakshasas, Gandharvas were bathing, and the Gandharvas defeated Duryodhan and Karna, and they kidnapped Duryodhan. And that time, the messenger of Duryodhan came to Pandavas to rescue Duryodhan. And it is in this one parva only, then we see later on how Jayadratha tries to kidnap Draupadi, and then Arjuna and Bhima caught hold of Jayadratha and shaved him up in a different parts like that. And then the 13th year. So this all we'll be discussing ahead, how Pandavas and Draupadi in disguise performed their last 1 year in the kingdom of Virat, and how Bhima slain Kichak, the great general of the Virat kingdom, to save the dignity of Draupadi. We'll also discuss about the cattle raid, how Kauravas got to know that Bhima is present in Virat's kingdom because Kichak can only be killed by two people, Duryodhana or Bhima. Duryodhana did not kill him, so it must be Bhima. And then the Duryodhana came and stole the cows or the cattle of Virat kingdom. And then there was a great battle. And then more to happen in Mahabharata. We'll see all that when we meet next time. So thank you all for your kind attention. I hope all of you are having a good time with Mahabharata series.